David, can you hear this? David? Okay, well, hang on.
Hold on, how's that?
I push the every time I want to. Right. Can you hear me now, Stephen? Right. Can you hear me, Stephen? I can't hear you, Stephen.
How's that, Walter? Walter, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay,
right?
great. Thank you.
Okay. I think you must have been muted before, but I
Yes.
just found how to do that. Just to make sure that, obviously that
Good morning, Walter. This is Zakir. Walter, can
Hello.
you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, I can hear you, Zaki. Thank you very much, and greetings. And let's see if it all works wonderfully. It should do. It's looking good. It's looking good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I'm just sort of muted some of the time because there's background discussion, but
Yeah.
I'll come back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, Walter.
press the space bar. Can you hear me now, BJ?
Yes, can hear you.
Good. Okay, hang on. I might just. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes. Now I'm fully unmuted and will stay unmuted, right? No. Good. Okay. And how have you been?
Oh, fine. I think you've been traveling a lot.
Oh, look, yes, I was in Brisbane with Stephen. We went up to Stephen, and there was a big.
Hello.
That's
Hello,
Stephen
BJ.
above,
Hi,
and
Stephen.
and
Hello.
Ben was in Brisbane as well at a big conference on grazing ecology, savanna grazing ecologies. But then we were up at Rockhampton, which is up in the further north, and doing a
Oh.
3-day workshop on basically pasture management, but soil ecology in relationship to a dieback disease, right? So it's really
Right.
problem solving, dieback diseases, soil collapse, rainfall collapse, all those sorts of situations that we're fearing for the future. But yes, they're starting to happen. So it was very good to be out there looking at, problem solving and how we can perhaps help fix it.
No, it's wonderful that we are starting today. Dharmender, when do we start? Are we waiting for Anne-Sophie to log in?
Yes, sir. We are waiting for her. Good morning.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Walter, what we are planning is we have 80 plus trainees.
Yes. Wonderful.
So, they're all the young natural farming associates, research coordinators.
Yes.
We also have people who will be documenting this.
Yes. Good.
And our idea is to do this in Telugu later on.
Yes. Yes. Good.
Because we have 10,000 champion farmers.
Yeah.
And each one, as you know, responsible for 100 to 150 farmers.
Yeah.
So these lectures have to go to 1 million farmers in a language that they understand.
Yes.
So this is so we have, Pawan and his wife Anu, who will be doing the English documentation. We are also recording this.
Good.
So we are bringing it both in English and also in Telugu.
Yes.
English because other states would want this, and other countries also, Africa, South America. Of course, they have to contextualize it. They have to then, see what makes sense to them. So therefore, it is what this 10 weeks is something which is really treasured by us. So very, very valuable. And also there's a lot of homework for them. I saw that flipped what is that curriculum which Ben had sent and Dharmender had shared.
And that was only for the first module.
Yeah.
That was only for the first module. More to come. That was just background reading. Reading. You see, no, it'll get more serious, right?
Okay. So I think everybody should be prepared.
Oh yeah.
It should be, and we're also having evaluation of the participants based on what they have got through. Then, where there are doubts, then there'll be other sessions.
Yeah.
So Dharmender and team will be clarifying doubts. We'll also be doing evaluation.
Yeah.
And so it's been, it will lead to a lot of material development, a lot of clarity for our
yes.
CRPs, the community resource person. They are the critical people, Walter. You have met them.
Yeah. No, look,
They are the
and
champion farmers. Our idea is how does it reach them? And through them, how does it reach every farmer?
What Ben has done, which is very, very effective, is, you see, we're proposing to have these 10 modules. They're fairly broad, starting off from the big picture, coming down strategically to the specifics. But basically, we'll say, look, here is the 20-minute or so lecture or covering of that topic. There's a sequence of modules, a sequence of topic. Here's a 20-minute discussion of that, where we will then raise, look, here is further reading, further questioning. And basically, then that will be really the task for the following week, where people have to read and
Right.
background. And then the start of the next module, the start of the next week, we will have 20, 25 minutes of Q&A on the previous week's
correct.
work and what they saw, whether there's any problems, questions of clarification, higher priorities, be really discussing the detail. And then, of course, we'll have the second module or the following module from that after the Q&A. So every week we're basically presenting material, inviting them to then explore further references on it. But then the next module, next week, having that Q&A, critical appraisal, and very, very welcoming feedback and more prioritization. So if there's more detail that you need, that we can take that on board. And then we can spin that off to say, okay, yes, we need separate fact sheets on different content. But the whole idea is to have this as a very much what Ben calls a flipped classroom sort of process, where we basically, the 80 participants, the 80 trainees are in the driver's seat. So it's really us mentoring, helping them through this journey, through this adventure, exploring natural farming. Also in the introduction, obviously we just started off here is climate and what we do, but I think we're going to go very much more into the natural farming, water, food, biosystems, resilience, arid zone management as we get into the contents, right? So the contents is much more than just climate.
Right. So I think I see Anne-Sophie. Welcome, Anne-Sophie.
Greetings, Anne-Sophie.
Hello.
Hello. It looks very hot. You're in Rome, are you, at the moment?
Yes, I'm in Rome.
And what's the temperature? And because we've been scared because it's got so hot and so many wildfires.
Right now it's not too hot. It's 6 in the morning, so it's about 26 degrees.
Okay.
Celsius. And during the day it's nearing 40 degrees.
That's what we're hearing.
Which is really hot for Rome. It's not India, so people are not used to it, and the houses and the systems are not really geared for that. So Europe has been going through a really massive heat wave. France as well.
And we've been hearing from other project areas in terms of wildfires, like lots of wildfires, Portugal, Germany, Spain, so it's a really scary factor.
And also in France, we've had, thousands and thousands of hectares in my area when I was there in July in southwestern France. It's pine tree forests traditionally, and that goes like literally wildfire because it's very dry, and the pine and nuts also crack and explode and shoot out to, shoot out ahead. So we've lost 30,000 hectares in our area, and it's really very impressive because it's across the sea from us, and we can see all the we were small, and we can see the huge clouds going on for days and days. And I think people are starting to realize that climate change is not tomorrow; it's really now, and an entire system would need to adapt to it.
Yes, and Anne-Sophie, you see what it's also telling us, and people don't get this yet, that it's basically biosystems collapsing, right? I mean, Australian forests regenerate, they're adapted to it, but a lot of the European forests, once they burn, it'll take 100 years or so before they can come back again. So this is really hydration, biosystems collapsing, which are very, very serious in the big picture. But Anne-Sophie, look, I'd like to introduce you to Ben and Stephen, part of the team, and of course the team that have put all the electronic sort of stuff together. But of course, Stephen is also our cinematographer, and yes, all will also be recording. And so Vijay, like in that discussion with documentation, recording, will always be able to available and helping put images and stories together for that. Although we don't speak Bengali. Oh,
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
Telugu.
Telugu. Sorry, Telugu. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. That's great.
Dharmender,
And then that
start.
would help people watch and rewatch, which I'm sure will be quite helpful. And then to broaden it and have a bit of a bank of videos and
Yes.
Q&As, that will be extremely helpful.
And just as Vijay said, I think we'll have each of the modules and then we'll refine them into very, well, logical, simple, data sheets and flows. And they can be used over and over again in any language, in any nation, because it'll come to the basic issues of, why we need to respond with natural farming, what we have to do, what are the critical success factors, how we do it. And then, of course, going right back to the basics of soil, water, rebuilding each of the systems. So that'll be universal and that'll be able to be used over and over and over again, hopefully.
Yeah. Dharmender?
Sir,
Start?
good morning. I think we can start the session, sir. So, nearly all participants have joined who are part of core group. So I think there is one schedule that is given by Ben. I think first we'll start with introductions for 15 minutes till 10:15. And then Walter would give an overview for 20 minutes. And then a question and answer session for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we can start. Hello, Anne-Sophie. So I think it might take a lot of time for all of us to get introduced. I think in this selected group of participants, there are district project managers, a select few. There are select thematic leads. There are every research coordinator, every NFA from research and training thematics, and SIF fellows, and some journalists are also there who would take care of documentation. And from nutrition also, entire team has joined. So I think we may call a few to introduce themselves as you wish.
Yeah, maybe Zakir. Is Zakir there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Walter. Good morning, Anne-Sophie.
Isaac, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to have this session to create good awareness on the topics, because earlier Walter used to give lectures on various themes, but it has not penetrated to the grassroots level. This is a well-structured orientation or master training, so that will really helpful for the people who is working in the grassroots, and also all the research team and the natural farming associates, NF associates, to take this entire science of what Walter is telling to the farmer level. That's really helpful, and we will all help. We'll be happy to associate with this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Varaprasad Garu, Dr. Varaprasad.
Sir, good morning. Good morning to all of you. We are very much excited, Walter, that looking for the learnings from you and convert into researchable issues, and it will help a lot for our academy. And the topics looks very comprehensive and a good flow, and I hope it will help at all levels, everybody. Look forward to actively learn from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trimurtulu, Dr. Trimurtulu.
Yes, sir. Good morning to all of you. So it's really very exciting for me, being a microbiologist. Basically, I'm very fortunate to listen to Dr. Walter's videos and his team. Really, what I felt that really this natural farming will move in a very constructive mode and to help the farmers after this course program. I really thankful to the organizers for arranging this one. Thank you once again all. Thank you.
Dr. Maheshwari.
She is yet to join, sir.
Okay. Lakshmi Durga.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lakshmi Durga. I'm looking after the health and nutrition interventions under IPCNF. Good morning, Dr. Walter. I met you 2 years ago in Guntur.
Yes.
And being a public health and nutritionist, I'm here as a student to understand the concepts of agriculture so that I can help the organization in developing the effective strategies for nutrition. Looking forward for attending all the sessions, Walter.
Thank you.
Dr. Raidu.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. We have been listening to you, Dr. Walter, and very exciting, very kind of eye-opening and learning at every stage is very important. We realize now, and the challenge is that we should be making it happen and go to the farmers and adapt in their own farms. That's our challenge. We are getting up ourselves. Thank you very much. Looking excitedly for the 10 sessions. Thank you very much.
Lakshman Naik, District Project Manager,
Sir, good
Anantapur,
morning,
the
sir.
person who has operationalized these ideas first.
Good morning, Walter, and good morning, Sophie madam.
Hello,
Then,
Hello.
he is
Sir,
the
good
one
morning.
who tried your ideas. 11 people in 2018 May, hot summer. So
Yes.
that was the practical, operationalization of your lecture of 2016 in with D.D. Pershaus.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just call a few young people who were with you in 2019. Was Kiran Mai there? Who were there with who participated in Walter's brainstorming for 3-4 days in Guntur? Dharmender, you remember?
Yes, sir. Kiran Mai was there. Sonia was there.
Okay, so let Kiran Mai introduce herself. Is Kiran Mai online? Was Hamika there?
Hamika.
Morning, sir. Actually, I was not there for the Guntur session, sir, but I was there for the Anantapur session, sir. It was really an eye-opening, and that was the first time when I started learning how the regenerative agriculture on the basic things also. Now I am eagerly waiting to learn the new things also, sir, and in-depth knowledge, sir, to gain the in-depth knowledge. Thank you so much.
Okay, Kiran Mai, is she online? Irfan,
Reshma.
Yeah, Irfan.
Good morning, sir. As we are blessed with PMDS, your lectures are very important to us for our future knowledge gaining and everything. Sir, I don't know what to. I am really excited, sir. So this is our second. I am directly involving for this lecture, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So all of you have a very important role because Walter has given us time, 10 weeks. And there's a lot of preparation for this before the next module starts and then after the module. So there's a lot of homework. So all of you have a very important role to play. Maybe I'll just ask one last, Dr. Pushpa, who's doing wonderful work.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Ah.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Walter sir. Hope you remember me. We had been interacted at Hyderabad. I was. How are you, sir?
Yes, very well, thank you. And
I'm so excited to listen to your class. It was really wonderful. We are going to listen your presentations, and really, I'm so excited to continue the classes. Thank you for this golden opportunity to EVC, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Oh,
thank
then
you.
We have Mr. Rambabu, who actually wrote about your visit, and the big, very famous journalist writing on natural farming. Mr. Rambabu.
Good morning, sir. Walter,
Yes,
sir,
good
and
morning.
UC, sir. Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes, remember Guntur. Yes.
Yeah, sir. Yeah. Good morning, NS officer. Madam.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello,
hi.
nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. It's very exciting historical beginning, I can say. It is a game changer for the entire world, not only for Andhra Pradesh and India. I'm very excited to be in the group and learning. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Pawan Munta.
Hi, hi Walter. Hello,
Hello.
sir. Hi, Anne Sophie. Good to see all of you. And as everybody said, it is a great opportunity for all of us. And Walter, I have been listening to your videos for the last 3-4 years. Thanks to Vijay and your participation in one of our activities in natural farming, particularly in Anantapur. I've been closely following various activities in Andhra Pradesh. And in fact, the 365 days green cover, that is something which Vijay and you put together, is a wonderful opportunity for us to address the issues with the drought areas. And I hope that now these 10 lectures will become a Bible in the era of natural farming movement and regenerative agriculture movement all over the world, because these concepts can be easily adapted to the agroecology context in each country. And it is really happy application for all of us that now FAO is looking at agroecology and agroforestry together. So we are hoping for a best future where people will be engaged in dealing with climate change and global warming scenarios. Thank you very much, sir. I'm hoping the best output from you for the next 10 classes to come. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. So, Anne-Sophie, just before you came, I was telling Walter that we have close to 80 participants who will be basically from the research pool, natural farming associates. We have some district project managers. We have state team members. So they will be going through the full course, and also from the health and nutrition. Our idea is that this 10 lectures, and again, I think I'm very happy that Stephen and Ben will also be assisting. We want to bring out, course material, which can then go to all the states in the country, because the Ministry of Agriculture has been asking us for good material. And there's a lot of, interest by Government of India in taking natural farming on a scientific basis throughout the country. And in our state, we would like this to be to go to every community resource person. So we will be simultaneously translating it into Telugu, and Pawan, Anu, his wife, so both of them are working on the documentation, and our own team will work on the Telugu part. So the CRP who is dealing with the farmer should be able to answer their questions in a scientific manner. And in turn, whatever their innovations are there should also flow back to us. So the question and answer session, I would request all the participants, the question and answer session should be in relation to what you have observed in the in the field also. What Walter is saying, how well it is resonating with what you are seeing in the field. That will be so I would, Dharmendra, you can put into two categories.
Yes.
When you are evaluating, how much of what they are seeing in field gets validated, and then what are their doubts. There'll be, of course, some doubts from a science perspective also. So this is a under mute చేసుకోవాలండి. Under mute చేసుకోవాలా, please mute. Pawan, please mute. Yeah. So this is and the English version, and Sophie can go to any country because we have collaboration with Africa and with countries in South America. Walter has, I think, followers all over the world. So this material which can be used by practitioners, I think really is a need of the hour. So I must thank you and Sophie for getting it through. And I think this is a great, I see this as a very great opportunity to take Walter's ideas, Walter's concepts to the practitioners at the ground level, especially in Asia, Africa, because the land holdings are very small, so it has to be customized. So the Andhra Pradesh experience will help in customizing. So I see a two-way process here. So I look forward to even after the 10 weeks, how do we develop material for practitioners all over the world? Whoever is interested in agroecology, natural farming, regenerative agriculture, in a similar context, small farmers, 2 hectares, less. So I thought before we start, Anne-Sophie, few words from you.
Thank you so much, Vijay, and thank you, Walter, for the time you will invest in this. And thanks to the team, to Ben and Stephen and everybody in the background in your team at Regenerate Earth, who's dedicating time to making this happen. And I think it's great also on the side of RISS, the effort from Dharmendra and all the team to work on this very nice series of lectures. I think in terms of the content, it's really very topical because we're facing unprecedented crises that are multifold crises in terms of climate change in particular, but also collapse of biodiversity and a 6 mass extinction of biodiversity that's currently underway, and a huge challenge on socioeconomic systems in terms of food insecurity and poverty, but also the reorganization of human systems that climate change will entail. And we really urgently need a change at the level of our food systems and our agricultural production systems that are part of them. And I think that agroecological solutions are really one of the approaches that is so essential to pursue. And for that, we need also a sound understanding of the science and the knowledge that is sustaining agroecology in farmers on farmers' farms. And I hope that this lecture will help, this series of lecture will help dive into the science, what we know, what we don't know yet, what we're yet to discover, and how we can experiment. And I think the Natural Farming Program is a great place where we can implement and innovate and keep learning and trying and bringing new evidence that then we can discuss and study in these lectures. So it's not a linear process of science from Walter and then people listening and then applying. It's everybody in this room who is working in the field and is bringing their question, is already applying a lot of things and making it a dynamic conversation with Walter and the team. So I think what is essential is active participation from everybody. This is everybody's lecture, really. Everybody will contribute their knowledge and their findings from the field that generates new questions. And I very much like that the team has adopted a flipped classroom approach, which I think is very relevant. And it's one of the approaches that most relevant in teaching today, any training, where participants discover the content first and new knowledge first, and then together with the teachers and trainers, there's an active learning part with question and answers that is taking place in the lecture, such as today with Walter. And it's very much in line with the Farmer Field Schools approach. You know that Farmer Field Schools is very much about discovery learning. So participant in the field discover and some new knowledge by observing their systems, their farming systems, and then discuss and come to conclusions and mature their learning through a sort of what we call an experiential learning cycle. And the flipped classroom in classes is based on the same principles of discovery of the knowledge first by participants as an individual learning process, and then putting it together with the group and engaging in active implementation, discussion, questions, etc. So I think we also use this approach, the flipped classroom, in our virtual trainings, and I'm sure that it will be very, very beneficial, especially if everybody participating takes the time and really makes the time to study for themselves first. And that's really very important, because this is where all kinds of questions will come. You will mature the learning. We will mature the learning. We will internalize the learning, and then we can come ready for the Q&A sessions with Walter with a very, very active learning approach that will be very beneficial. It's really a great chance that we all have to spend this time with Walter and Ben and Stephen and all the team. And the list of topics is really extremely important for the daily work in the APCNF program, and will help everybody as trainer, as DPM, as staff of the program, to answer the questions that they get about natural farming program. Everyone at our level, we do get questions about what is this natural farming and what is agroecology and why does it work and what is different, or sometimes very technical questions. Some people get it from farmers, some get it from high-level policymakers, we get it from donors, we get it from our trainers who don't understand some aspects. So I think these lectures in the form of Q&A that are following registered videos is really the perfect combination to give us a lot of material that then can be used with the field staff, the farmers, our partners, our donors, scientists, etc., at all levels. So again, thanks very much to Walter and the team, and to Vijay for supporting this, Dharmender and everybody, Zakia. I'm excited to see this come to life, and look forward to a really nice series of events together. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Sophie. Walter, can we have Ben and Stephen introduce themselves, and then, it'll be over to Walter.
Okay, wonderful.
Hello, sir. My name is Ben Fox. I'm very excited to be a part of this project with Regenerate Earth team, and I think it's great that we proceed. Thank you.
Stephen?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay, Vijay? Yes, hello, everyone. Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure and a privilege to work with you all. I'm a cinematographer. I've also been a teacher for many, many years, and it's just so inspiring to pass on the live feed information we're getting from Andhra Pradesh with students here in Australia. It's so powerful, so powerful. So thank you so much. Really looking forward to contributing. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And now over to the guru.
Well, look, greetings everybody, but no, I'm a student as well, and actually just coming to that very point, Anne-Sophie very, very kindly invited us in 2009, Didi and myself, 2019, sorry, to come to Andhra Pradesh. And yes, we were observing, we were looking. And as an example, Vijay had then been experimenting with pre-monsoon dry seeding. And it was really us learning and then problem solving, exploring, putting the science behind it. And that opened a whole new frontier. And so this is exactly what we're trying to do here. Okay. And I think really stressing the point that's made that, look, it's your local observations and then you bringing those local observations into this community group for discussion, looking at the relevant science, as Anne-Sophie, deciding what we know, don't know, what we need to know, how do we explore further. And it's giving us that opportunity to, yes, really explore and interrogate each topic. And I think that's going to be the most valuable part of this flip learning exercise. And I think we're all in the learning process. But obviously, to start the game rolling, I mean, again, firstly, I'd like to thank the United Nations, the Food and Agricultural Organization, and Anne-Sophie, of course, for hosting our initial trip in 2019. Their whole work they've been doing so extensively with the farmer field schools, but also the women's self-help groups in Andhra Pradesh, really building this grassroots empowerment, this grassroots understanding of natural farming. So that's been extremely valuable. And then basically making this masterclass series available too, giving us the opportunity to have this masterclass. It arose out of discussions that Vijay and Anne-Sophie and I had at the end of that 2019 trip on how do we actually take things further, both in terms of exploring innovations, exploring observations, but also extending the uptake of natural farming more wider. And we looked at it from several points of view. Do we, I mean, basically go into larger landscape regeneration projects, you know, like taking on some real challenging problems of rehydrating, regreening arid wastelands, which we saw some of in southern Andhra Pradesh. And that was an initial topic of interest. But then later on, actually, the chief minister in Andhra Pradesh raised the question of, okay, what can we do? Can we use this masterclass to actually identify strategies for rebuilding village water security? You know, how do we actually look at natural farming at each watershed landscape level for each village to say, how do we actually use natural farming to secure water? And it epitomized the thing that, look, this natural farming innovation that Vijay, Anne-Sophie and Andhra Pradesh have been pioneering are really such powerful tools to problem solve, whether it's arid zone rehydration, regreening, whether it's water security, whether it's food security, whether it's a nutritional integrity, the preventative health outcomes for communities. So it's got so many powerful benefits. And I think we want to bring all of those back into the discussion. But basically, Vijay then recently sort of came back and said, look, no, what's better for the masterclass? His first masterclass is if we can go back and capture, as we talked about up to now, the scientific principles behind natural farming. You know, what is it that makes natural farming a powerful tool globally for regenerating the earth, rebuilding biosystems, rebuilding stability, resilience, buffering in those biosystems? And how do we actually put the hard science and the practical knowledge of natural farming in a documented form that's available not just in India, not just throughout India, but globally? And I think if we can do this through this masterclass and the documentation from it, as people have said, it'll be a very valuable toolkit. Somebody used the word Bible. I don't think that's appropriate. But the point is, as a toolkit, as nature's resource, you know, knowledge base and our understanding of it, I think it could be extremely valuable. So from our point of view, yes, we've designed this masterclass in this series of modules, starting at the very broad level and then really coming down, yes, how did nature function to create the biosystems? How did she regenerate the soils, the hydrology, the vegetation, and all the elements and benefits and capabilities that flow from that? And we've more or less designed it so that, yes, we'll go down from that broad perspective into narrow and narrow detail. And as we've said, we're using that flipped learning strategy. So all the time, bringing your observations, your questions to the front, and then us workshopping those through the Q&A. Where we don't have answers, we'll be making notes of those issues, and we'll be actually then exploring them. As I was saying to Vijay, just as before we started, we were recently in Rockhampton. Rockhampton is a tropical savanna ecosystem. There's about 300 million hectares of this ecosystem in Australia. There's about 5 billion hectares of this globally. And you see, we're experiencing some pasture dieback in the ecosystem. And see, that's again a problem-solving exercise that we did 10 days ago, Stephen and I. And really, that's where we learn. That's how we observe. That's where we learn. And it's highly relevant because if we can understand it here, what's happening in Rockhampton, pasture dieback, does that give us clues globally? And that applies everywhere, whether it's Africa, Latin America, Asia. So I think that problem solving and that discussion is critically important. The other thing that's very, very important, which is really the point of these master classes, and in a sense its real objective, is how do we extend and multiply this knowledge, this experience of natural farming? And obviously, we're working with small farmers, small areas in individual cases, but of course, it very quickly can multiply because if we can extend it, if we can make that knowledge available to people everywhere, whether it's Africa, Latin America, we can reach hundreds of millions of small farmers and through that actually have a really profound effect on changing biosystems, building resilience, cooling the climate. So a key objective of this masterclass then is to train the local mentors, the local agents, the local operatives that can act as catalysts to extend natural farming practices and basically be there as catalysts working with farmers. And we're really excited when Vijay mentioned at the beginning that there's 80 people already joining in on this masterclass. And that's just the start. You know, like let's look at the first 80. We empower them, we help them with their skills, with their training, and then we can multiply this further. In doing so, I think we can raise very significantly the awareness of natural farming, but particularly the innovations and the potential for its adaptation. This is not academic. We're not talking about something theoretical. We're saying, where are there practical adaptations that leading farmers, leading mentors in different regions have applied? Because those adaptations, how have they used this knowledge to solve problems is really, they're the gemstones. They're the gemstones that we want to collect, polish, because that, more than a Bible, is really where the lessons and knowledge will come from. How do we, in that process, also foster innovation? Okay, we're really at the cutting edge of a movement that's going beyond the green revolution. You know, when I started as a scientist 40 years ago, 50 years ago, we had the green revolution. We had to feed people. And of course, we invested in very high input industrial agriculture to do that. And in a sense, it was partly successful in creating more food, but had enormous costs, both in terms of the environment, but also in the actual nutritional integrity and the health of the community. And so we're not fighting the green revolution, far from it, but we're saying, how do we go beyond the green revolution? How do we show innovations? How do we show regenerative options and actually take those academics and take those people from the green revolution with us forward into a much more sustainable, productive future? And the same way, very much this program is about revitalizing village economies, village social structures, communities, village eco-enterprise. So the key thing, and India actually epitomizes this and is very, very fortunate, because basically India still has viable villages. Over 60% of its community still is in villages. And particularly the young people in villages, how do we empower them, both in terms of farming, but also all sorts of eco-enterprise opportunities associated with natural farming, building supply chains, biofertilizers, high-value marketing businesses, getting food to the community. So it's really a powerful vehicle for revitalizing viable villages, and through that, economic and social prosperity. Right. And basically, that's, in a sense, all part of the objectives. The other key thing that Vijay's already mentioned is, of course, to document the evidence, right? How do we document the evidence and document the outcomes so these become case studies? So in each of these examples that you bring forward, in each of the questions you bring forward, it's actually documenting those and then making those available for wider distribution. In a way, it'd be lovely if each of the participants in this workshop basically already, as they're going through the 10 modules, as they go through, focus on where is your key question or your key problem or a relevant local solution or situation that you want to improve. And then you focus your thinking around, okay, this is my particular problem or my particular opportunity challenge. And then how do I use what I've learned through these 10 modules to do that? And those modules and those challenges can come whether it's water or food security, whether it's buffering the resilience of biosystems, whether it's basically capturing value from the natural farming systems in terms of market opportunities, local village market opportunities, whether it's, and again, we talked about it, whether we are focusing on the actual preventative health benefits from the superior food, from the higher nutritional integrity of the food that's being grown in these natural farming processes. Actually, I was talking in Brisbane just the other week, and you see we've got a $10 trillion a year global industrial food system. It's a big industry, $10 trillion a year globally. But basically, that's driving a $20 to $30 trillion a year industrial disease industry. And we are now basically suffering as humanity under basically diet-induced diseases from the failure of our previous agriculture to produce food with the nutritional integrity that we need for our physiology. So one of the most powerful things in the next 20 years will be actually addressing that issue. How do we come back to producing healthy food from healthy soils to keep people healthy? And again, this is an enormous challenge, but again, enormous opportunity and a very important discussion for us here. Okay, and then another area that you may wish to focus on, and that's one of our agendas, and this is, of course, yes, how do we regenerate degraded wasteland? There's 5 billion hectares of man-made desert and wasteland that we've created over the last 8,000 years. There's areas, whether it's Rajasthan or parts of Australia, etc., which have been desertified. How do we actually turn that back? How do we regreen it, rehydrate it, and cool it? How do we, by rehydrating landscapes, restore natural, safe cooling processes on the planet? By reducing high pressure heat domes over those regreened regions with 365 days green cover, can we actually induce moist air inflows, which are then critical in restoring monsoonal rainfalls? So all of these things become possible, and they're all things that we can actually embrace, and natural farming has a powerful contribution to make in inducing each of them. So look, that's in a sense an outline of both the objectives of what we're hoping this masterclass can do in terms of training mentors, driving natural farming awareness, documenting its outcomes, but also the range of topics that we invite people to explore and we will be trying to cover through the program. So look, that's in a sense what I'm seeing. But look, in this first module, or in this first journey together, and as we say in this flipped learning method, the question is, what are your questions? What are your thoughts? Are there any questions arising on your part that we can discuss and answer? Also provide feedback where you need more emphasis or you want things clarified, that we can come back, take that on board. We may not be able to structure it immediately into the thing, but then we can take notes and say, look, yes, we need more fact sheets. Or Stephen, for example, makes very outstanding films. So are there topics where we need to document more information to contribute to this learning journey? Okay, so in that context, I think I've talked for quite a while. So perhaps, yeah, if we can get back, are there questions or issues or priorities or wishes that we can hear from our 80 participants? And yeah, can we start that discussion, as we will be in every module every week from now on for the next 10 weeks and beyond?
Okay, thank you, Walter. Dharmendra, please take over and then facilitate the Q&A or people asking doubts. Just before you open it up, I just wanted to know from Stephen, is there something, have you done something for schools? Is there some short films? Is there some series of films that we can show in our schools? We can, with your permission, we can translate it into Telugu, or we can give the subtitles. Is there something that we can do with the schools and colleges?
Look, at the moment, there's very short form fact sheets and illustrations at the moment, VJ, but look, very happy to accommodate supply as you wish. I mean, at very short notice as well.
Yeah. May I just add on that one? And Stephen makes wonderful films, and often they're not, here are the answers, but they're asking the questions. For example, and it's relevant to everyone in the world, but perhaps not so typical in inland India, but Stephen put a beautiful film together, Can Whales Cool Antarctica?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the connection between whales and our decimation of the whales and the actual cooling processes on this planet that created Antarctica are now critical for perhaps, cooling Antarctica to stop sea level rise? Okay, and so these are very short 3, 4, 5-minute films, but absolutely powerful for schools because they give the license for children to dream, to explore, and to look at these connections. How come whales can be cooling Antarctica? And of course, the answer is yes, they excrete nutrients, and those nutrients grow phytoplankton blooms. The phytoplankton blooms give off prodigious quantities of volatiles, dimethyl sulfide, which 60 years ago we confirmed are critical in nucleating clouds. And so the whole clouds that caused Antarctica to freeze about 50 million years ago evolved parallel with the evolution of whales and the population rise of whales. So immediately we bring questions and connections, but also dreamings together. And there's a whole series of regenerate earth dreamings in this nature that we would like to, present, document, but then make available for what you're talking about, VJ, to schools, because it's getting young people to be dreaming about, yes, we can change this. Nature has solutions. How do we use them?
If you can just send us a few of your films, we can, go through it and see how it will be useful or how it can be circulated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Open to the group now. Please, Walter has asked you, are there, what are your questions? What are you hoping to understand during this 10 weeks? Is there something very important or something for which you have not been able to find answers? Yeah. Over to anybody in the group. Dharmendra, you take over now.
Yes, just I wanted to update Walter that on last Friday we all have met. So we have introduced the zero module contents. We have screened some videos, but we couldn't discuss much on that. But as the process that we set up is like after a few hours we'll be receiving module 1. Tomorrow we'll be meeting as a group, and we'll be going through the contents, and also there will be sufficient time for them to study. And in the meantime, we are giving some assignments also, and also we'll be collecting Q&A, so that we'll give you questions at least a day ahead. So this is what we are thinking. And after this Q&A session is over, after Walter leaves, this group will continue to stay back, and as subgroups they will meet, discuss, and have some cross learnings, and that also will be shared. So both at individual level and at group level, we are trying to maximize the learning. So I now encourage anyone to pose questions to Walter. I think this is an open house kind of, anyone is free to ask. From next week on, we will collect questions in advance. So science team, nutrition team, training team.
Hi, Dharmendra. This is Pawan.
Yes.
Hi, Walter. One is learning the science behind this natural farming processes or regenerative agriculture processes. So when we do these, when we really link the science to the ground level practices, do you suggest some questions, like, what kind of a questions that we will go and take the data and analyze it and use that data for documentation? Do you please suggest us some questions? For example, when we started, Vijay and I and Raigar and others were discussing about how the root, what could be the extent of root penetration into the soils, and what kind of interactions happen between microbial population and what kind of water resources are available, temperatures. And these are certain things that we got in our mind to see the plant growth. Such type of scientific questions may be of some help for us to train our farmers to make their observations and get back with data for us to really see how these dynamics are working in farm fields.
Yes, Pawan, I totally agree. And that's very much the thing. What are the linkages? You see, what are the relationships? Why is that soil, or how does that soil structure now influence nutrition, or how does that soil structure influence water holding capacity? I mean, the same example, how does whale poo cool Antarctica? And often these are not initially apparent linkages, but all of those questions are really, really critical. And definitely the other thing you mention or come into is the question of, how do we experiment? Like if we've got a thing, what are the things that we may wish to measure or monitor to get an understanding? how do we sample, for example, like how would you experimentally sample? What are the treatments and control contrasts you want to have to look at? Also, we've got often lots of questions in Australia with farmers where they spend a lot of money getting soil analyses, for example, and then they question, what do these mean? What is it telling us? And often very little, because unless you ask the right question in the beginning, you're not going to get the relevant answer. So it's, again, how do you forensically analyze a situation, and then, come and ask the really question, what do we need to do, or what do we need to understand? And I think they're very powerful discussions. Definitely when you come things like, as you mentioned, root penetration, powerful, because a little bit of changes in the soil structure profoundly increases the amount of soil that roots can penetrate. So instead of being limited to, roots penetrating 10 centimeters, you might get roots penetrating to 1 meter.
Oh.
But of course, when you do that, you understand the volume of soil resources, the volume of water and nutrients that's available now to that plant to grow. It's increased exponentially. And so that's what productivity is all about. It's not about adding more. It's just making more of this natural resource available. The same with Vijay's sort of thing. If we can increase the longevity of green growth, if we can keep things growing 365 days of the year, keeping landscapes green rather than red, then again, the productivity benefits are 10 times greater than anything we can achieve by adding expensive fertilizers or biocides or irrigation. Okay, and it's just doing that. Actually, your question raises another thing. This is something we will be raising later on, but it's under the topic of metrics. Okay, these are the measurements, and we're going to really be defining new relevant metrics for natural farming. Okay, it's not just measuring on the old parameters, how many tons did I get, but it's new relevant parameters. For example, what was its nutritional value? What was its palatability, feed conversion efficiency? So these are all, by changing the metrics, we can change the whole value proposition that we're talking about. And I think Anne-Sophie and the UN, FAO, they're very conscious of that, because if we're just on tons of weight, we're not achieving what we really want, which is resilience, quality, stability, social empowerment. The whole UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals are all actually asking questions about where are there better metrics, and we can play a massive role in driving those, defining those, but also changing policy as a consequence.
Thank you very much.
I think Pushpa has also a question in the chat box. Pushpa,
yes.
You can unmute and
yes.
talk.
Walter, sir.
Yes.
As per you, where is that? What are the ways to the rehydration of the soil? Actually, I hear your webinar about the water harvesting technology. Through that, the water rehydration will regain the soil, or 365 DGC. Through that, the water is regaining in the soil. Is there any other methods are there, or any other processes are there for rehydration of the soil? That is my doubt.
Wonderful question. And yes, there are. And actually, we did an exercise with the US Geological Survey earlier this year, and documented, basically said, look, what are some of the critical processes nature uses for rehydration? We documented 31 processes that nature is using to both harvest water, to efficiently use water, to really make hydrology work. And of course, when you compare that with us humans, Homo sapien or Homo hubris, and we basically say, oh no, water has to come, well, either from our rain gauges where we measure it, metrics again, we're just looking at water in our rain gauges, and then we look at water in dams. We've built 50,000 large dams through the World Bank funding since the Second World War. Most of them are now drying or silting up and not becoming very effective. And yet here's nature with 31 processes for harvesting and using water more efficiently. Now, I won't go through all the 31, but, well, and of course, we won't be able to actually cover the whole 31 in the 10 sort of talks. But look, this is an angle, and this is actually a wonderful example where we say, all right, out of this process, let's document all these hydrological processes. And again, here's a spin-off, a toolkit that VJ and natural farming globally can use to really look at water in a completely different way. When we were doing the pre-monsoon dry seeding, for example, in 2019 with Anne-Sophie and VJ, you see, we more or less again were problem solving, and we came onto the thing is, look, these plants could have only germinated initially through using metabolic water. So here was a category of water which was critical for this pre-monsoon dry seeding to establish, which had never been actually considered in agriculture previously. So very innovative, but very significant. And by documenting all of these processes and using case studies to illustrate them, we can fundamentally turn global understanding of hydrology into a new paradigm. So look, let's do that, because that's exciting and extremely important for the global future.
Thank you.
Hi, Walter.
Yes.
I'm Aditi.
Yes, hello.
I wanted to know, hi, hello. I wanted to know, we've been using this term resilience a lot.
Yes.
I wanted to know what are the different ways to build resilience in natural farming. We always, say, look, you do agroecology or natural farming, you can recover from shock in farming, or it builds resilience. But I'm just wondering, what are the different ways you do it in terms of be soil, food, nutrition, biodiversity? I'm a bit curious to know what is that
Okay.
goes that
No,
goes in
look,
resilience.
okay, look, and this is exciting, and your question is so important, because that's exactly the sort of, again, as we talked with hydrology, is exactly the sort of question. Because so often, if you look at the natural farming or the regenerative farming literature, people will come on organics, they come on, here are practices that we use. We use no-till, or we have some practices, right? And of course, practices don't give you understanding. They just give you prescriptions. But what we're going to do is go right down into the processes that govern, for example, resilience, right? And so the answer is, yeah, what is resilience? We all accept, yes, we need it. But rather than saying it as a thing, we need resilience, we've got to say, well, what gives us resilience? And again, I'm not going to answer fully now, because it's a too exciting and too big a issue. But for example, we can get resilience through obviously the sponge, by building better, deeper soils with a capacity to hold more water, make more water available, right? We get resilience for bigger, deeper root proliferation. So the root systems, or that soil interface with the sponge, enormously powerful and resilience. We get basic enormous resilience, for example, from the symbiotic microbial mycorrhizal interfaces that allow that root to actually extend 100 times at a microscopic level throughout the soil. We get resilience from having mixed crops, which have got then synergistic, sheltering, and beneficial nutritional effects to each other, so we don't desiccate and lose so much water. We get resilience from basically grazing animals, cycling nutrients, for example, back into the soil, like turning biomass back into nutrients, as the whales are doing in a way, right? And so, look, again, that's a very wonderful question. And okay, I've made notes of it. Let's look at that. And then again, do exactly what you're asking me. Let's write the actual process lexicon, the process enablers for resilience in agroecosystems. Andhra Pradesh has just now set up, of course, as you know, a university in agroecology. That university should be and can be leading globally in pursuing agroecology, advancing agroecology. And these are exactly the questions, because if it can define a higher understanding of resilience, a more practical demonstration of resilience, you've done something that's worth more than a Nobel Prize. You've done something that really can help feed the future, build a resilient future for everybody. So yeah, let's do it.
Walter,
Don't hesitate to have an argument with me about my answers, you see, because if you don't like them, just tell me, right?
Yeah. Walter, this is Zakir. My question is related to degraded lands. So the rehydration in degraded lands.
Yep.
We are trying this year with 360 days, 5 days green cover model in most of the degraded lands. So there are some experiences in Andhra Pradesh where it is successful. So basically, if you take the metrics into consideration, the pH and organic carbon level and the mycorrhizal contents, they will be very low in this particular soil.
Yeah.
Can I know how many years or months it will take to rehydrate these soils?
Okay, look, again, a wonderful question. And I don't have a specific answer because nature's telling us she can do it. Nature can do it within months in some cases. In other cases, it'll take tens of years. I mean, just look at wastelands and how quickly, or here's a tsunami or a hurricane or a fire, and how quickly nature either regenerates or basically can't regenerate. So again, it's like the last question. I think we have to come down to what are the processes of that arid zone degraded wasteland regeneration? What's limiting those processes, and how do we accelerate them? Okay, and we bring it right down as we did with pre-monsoon dry seeding to say, look, here is a seed. For that seed to germinate, what does it need in terms of water, nutrients? For that seed to form mycorrhizal symbiosis, what does it need? And so it's like us as a baby. We take step, 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 and then we have essential needs for every step. But if we don't have those essential needs, we can't grow. But if we can bring all those steps together, then yes, we can regenerate. Nature does very successfully, very rapidly. And again, it's, I think, taking the understanding to, right, what are the processes and how do we manage and synchronize the sequence of processes to get that outcome? And again, I think, I would see that as a project. I mean, like, Zakir, you take this on as a project, and out of this masterclass, you keep asking questions all the way through, and then you build the evidence and the knowledge map around how do we do this.
Yes.
But very similar to that previous question of resilience. But of course, they all interact anyway, because to regenerate degraded wastelands, we need resilience, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
But so the answers are there. This is actually something for all these issues. Nature solves these problems, right?
Yeah.
Nature solves these problems elegantly, simply, very rapidly. And all we need to do is open our eyes to observe how does nature do it? And then can we actually help her accelerate that by overcoming limiting factors? So it's exciting.
Yes, I was discussing this with many mainstream scientists, so-called mainstream scientists. So they are all skeptic about this, and it's actually practically, I see within 1 year that the land the changes in the land structure, pH, everything. But still, we need to generate more metrics.
Yeah. And look, Zakia, you said it all, because you talk to mainstream scientists and they're learning, they say it's not possible or can't happen, right? I mean, you know, like a seed can't germinate unless we irrigate it and put water on it.
Water, yeah.
And then again, if that was the case, there wouldn't be any plants growing in deserts, and yet we know there are, right? So, yeah, and yes, it's giving you the license to then understand, explore. By all means, talk to all the scientists, but when they say no, you can't, then you say, well, nature can. How can I learn what she's doing?
True. Thank you, Walter.
No, pleasure.
I have a supplement question to what you have already explained.
Yes, Pawan.
This is about the understanding the relationship of bioinoculants and plant diversity that we have started implementing in Anantapur as part of 365 days green cover. And how does one really document these relationships? Like, we understand that, yes, at the root zone level, there is this exchange of nutrients among these microbial populations. And bioinoculants will contribute to the growth of these microbial populations, and so that nutrient exchange will be enhanced. So that's the general understanding that we have. But when we are doing research, what could be the penetrating question that give us the evidence of mapping those changes happening in soil?
Okay, look, again, I want to sit down with you and look at that in detail, obviously from an experimental design point of view.
Yes.
But it is very true that, look, we've got bioinoculants, we've got biostimulants, and then we've got biodiversity. And it's how do those three factors play together? Bioinoculants are, generally speaking, they're the organisms, you know, the actual living organisms in the soil. And I simply ask, well, what are the factors that they need to be healthy and active? But also, we know from past research, they're also extremely promiscuous. I mean, you know, like whereas we see, yes, there's this one organism with this plant, we've got to ask the question, how many other plants can that same organism form relationships with? And it's often quite diverse. But certainly it's a question of then some plants will inhibit different organisms, other plants will stimulate them. So we've got this, again, this wonderful knowledge that we need to document. Okay, where are there plants that are either stimulating or inhibiting? So we can have pioneer plants, nurse plants, and then, of course, plants that are actually used to clean up or to, well, not clean up, but actually repress organisms, right? And there's a whole, in a sense, a biological warfare that can be going on in soils. And yeah, these are the rules of, soil microbial warfare in a way. And how do we understand that? As far as experiments with exchanges of nutrients, we can look at, how do we actually have simple combinations and then use actually the nutrient uptake growth response of these different combinations to see, okay, if we put this plant with this organism, do we get a growth response? Do we get nutrition uptake or don't we? So there's a lot of little experiments you can trial. But the actual design of those trials, we'd have to sit down and, like brainstorm that in more detail.
Yes. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I think we can take one more question. I think we have to stop after that. Anyways, we'll collect your questions and make them available for Walter.
Yeah, Walter sir, I have a question.
Yeah, this is the last question. Thank you.
Yeah. It's regarding BT crops, impact of BT crops in soil microbial diversity. I think when we speak about root exudates are helping microbes in the soil, when it is a BT crop like BT cotton, which is growing, has been growing for last 2 decades in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in lakhs of hectares. Yeah, what is happening? My interesting question is, what is happening in the soils of BT cotton growing soils, mostly black cotton soils? What is there is no study, even one study is there to look into this issue. If we have more idea on that, what is how harm is being done to the soils and soil microbial life, we can convince a farmer, chemical farmer into that will be easy. Yes, please look into it.
Well, look, again,
he means Walter. He means GMO. BT is
BT cotton. Yes, I'm aware.
Sure. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Yep. No, I got that. And look, this is again a very important, profound area. Hopefully, not so much for India because you won't need them, but certainly in America, you've got so much now GMO crops that they're using. And what we do there, of course, we change the biochemistry of that crop, right? Because to make it insect resistant or whatever we're trying to do, we're putting genes in that subtly changes the biochemistry that makes it less attractive, for example, for insects or toxic to insects. And what we don't ask the question, what else are these biochemical changes or these toxicity changes doing in the wider environment? And what effect does that have on, nutritional availability or even its capacity to impact other critical biosystems? For example, we know that in America, for example, they're growing GMO maize, but the litter from that GMO maize, if you feed it to animals, ends up with lots and lots of problems. If insects growing on that litter, trying to break it down, end up with all sorts of genetic deformities and what have you. Often they can't break it down, and then you end up with phytotoxic leachates from that litter polluting rivers. We have an example in Tasmania where we've genetically modified some forests, and the litter from that forest can't break down. So guess what? We've got wildfires because the fuel that was previously able to be broken down by fungi and converted into stable soil carbon and extra hydrology is now not breaking down, staying on the surface, accumulating, and there we are. We've designed our wildfires, destruction. You see? So Vijay's putting his hand to his head. Absolutely, because that's what we're experiencing. And, like take, for example, California, that they bring in eucalypts as a plant, monoculture plant, but they don't bring the fungi that break down the litter. So every 3 years, Hollywood is burning. You can see it on your television. Clockwork. Okay. And so these are the things that we can understand. And I mean, as an example, and then we say, how do we actually restore these natural processes and, for example, reduce wildfire? Or in your case with the BT cotton, how do we grow cotton without the need for that? And then basically have much healthier soil, much healthier nutrient cycling, much healthier productivity. So again, there's no simple answer. Nobody, I mean, the companies have never done the studies. They don't want to do the studies because they already know what might turn up, but nobody's actually done that risk analysis. Nobody's done the analysis. Can this be affecting our human health, which it can? So none of that's been done, but certainly we've got to start asking the questions, and then do we need it? Are there smarter ways of managing insects in cotton so we can produce cotton much more productively without the need for BT cotton to be part of it? So there's a lot of upside on this understanding.
Yes. Yes, sir. Cotton crop is not only for fiber, it is also a vegetable oil, source of vegetable oil is also. Yeah, cotton, we are eating cotton seed oil.
Yeah, yeah. Look,
adulteration is going on. Yeah.
Totally. And see, there's a lot of complications there, compounding factors, and people, look, there's been a lot of, I mean, we've got this explosion of self-induced diet-related diseases right throughout, particularly the Western world, and it's all associated with this breaches in natural biochemical processes where we didn't have them before. Now we've got obviously these toxins in the environment from all our ignorances. And we've got a $30 trillion a year industrial disease industry driving economies, but not for long because we can't sustain that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Look, okay. Well, look, I want to actually compliment everybody. And the questions you were raising, I mean, while I can't answer all of them, but the questions you're raising are just so important. And if through this masterclass series of modules, we can have these discussions, we can document all these areas. I mean, this becomes then the toolkit. This becomes the resource base that we're going to use to take natural farming both forward in terms of its relevance and its application, but also its global recognition as a powerful tool for feeding or regenerating and feeding the world into the future.
Yeah, Dharmender, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So we'll be collecting questions, sir. And also after this session is over, we'll continue to sit back. So we have some housekeeping. All the content is placed in drives. I'll be orienting the entire group about that. So this will happen after once Walter is finished. Yes.
Good. And from our point, we'll be documenting more of the modules. We've got some of them, we've got the first 2 or 3 already done, but then we'll be documenting more modules and sending them to you in advance. Yes. And so that's excellent. So thank you very, very much. And we're looking forward to an exciting adventure together.
Thank you. Thank you. We are also very excited.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Walter and Stephen and Ben. And thank you, our team.
Okay, very much so. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
till next Monday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
Okay,
Thank
wonderful. Okay, all the very best. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Dharmender.
Yes, sir.
This Telugu translation also must happen simultaneously. We can't wait till December.
Yes, sir.
That is number 1. Number 2, among the participants also groups ka airpart cheste gina.
Okay.
Some people from training, some people from research, some from state team, health, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 groups, and then have 1 core person who is working with them.
Yes.
ఆ విధంగా groups form చేసుకోండి.
Yes, sir.
And what Walter is saying is a question, sir. He is asking us to do more work in terms of what is troubling you, each one of them, all the 80 participants. What are the questions for which you need answers? And he is expecting a lot of inputs from all of us.
Yes.
And what I can see very clearly is that this is something which we should be able to, through manage, take it to the entire country. I'll also be talking about this course. Okay, a brief note నాకు పంపిస్తే I'll send it to Secretary Agriculture, Government of India.
Okay.
We'll tell him what we are doing. And I think this will be very relevant for the whole country, what in terms of our work. So, English documentation, and then the Telugu documentation.
Yes.
So, Telugu documentation lo rendu parts untayi. Even the videos that come from Walter, do we do a voiceover? Do we do, subtitling? I think mana Praveen unnada?
Unnaru.
Digital Green. So then Praveen, Vishi, and again Praveen Shriram Shetty, Meeru Kurchoni, etla idi video communication, because there are what Walter is going to present in these webinars, that also has to be subtitled. Then the videos that are coming from there also need to be subtitled. Yes. And then the transcript of his lectures again need to be put into Telugu. So these are tasks, and some of them may have to be done in parallel. The other idea that I have, Dharmender, is ఒక్కొక్క లెక్చర్ అయిపోయినాక, ఒక్కొక్క సెషన్ అయిపోయినాక, ఇంటర్న్ మన NFA training, RCs, they should, try to communicate. They should communicate that to the master trainers. వాళ్ళకి ఏం అర్థమైంది, వాళ్ళ దగ్గర నుంచి డౌట్స్ ఏమొచ్చాయి. సో ప్లీజ్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ వన్ మోర్ హోంవర్క్ కింద, యాక్టివిటీ కింద. ఎందుకంటే ఎప్పుడైతే మనము ఇతరులకు చెప్తామో అప్పుడు మనము వినింది ఎంతవరకు అర్థం చేసుకున్నాము అనేది ఇంకా స్పష్టత వస్తుంది. సో దే కెన్ ప్లే దట్ వీడియో అండ్ దెన్ try to explain that to the master trainers. To the MTs, to L1, to L2. Idi I would appudu clarity, andaru clarity vastundi in a parallel basis. Yes. So MTs andaru kuda October lopala ఏదైతే మనము వాల్టర్ దగ్గర నుంచి వింటున్నామో అది వారికి కమ్యూనికేట్ అవుతుంది. అండ్ ఇన్ దట్ కమ్యూనికేషన్ మన NFAs కానీ RCs కానీ ఇంకా స్పష్టత వస్తుంది. దట్ ఈస్ వన్ పార్ట్ ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ టు హ్యాపన్. సెకండ్ థింగ్ ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ జాకీర్, వరప్రసాద్, మహేశ్వరి గారు అండ్ త్రిమూర్తులు ఈ లెక్చర్స్ అప్పుడు ఏ రకమైన రీసెర్చ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ వస్తున్నాయి. సో దట్ ఆల్సో విల్ బి పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది feedback that we give to Walter. We already have some problems that we want to pose to him, like about the hydrology, what different methods means are there any, or on resilience. So there are two things that are coming up. One, research related matters that come through the modules, through the questions. Second, our ability to communicate this. So these two streams, ఒకవైపు ప్రతి మాడ్యూల్ అయిపోయినాక, today of course was an introductory one, but in future ఆ మాడ్యూల్ అయిపోయినాక one more activity you can put in the flipped what is it called, flip chart, flipped
classroom.
Flipped classroom. Yeah, flipped classroom లో ఇంకొక యాక్టివిటీ పెట్టండి, that they have to train master trainers. They have to convey this to the master trainers. అప్పుడు అది చెప్పడంలో ఎంతవరకు అర్థం చేసుకున్నారు, that will also improve their understanding, improve their absorption.
Yes. Definitely. We'll come back with the detailed plans.
Yeah.
Groupings, leaders.
Yeah. Varprasad garu, any comments? And I would also ask Dr. Raidu, ఇది ఏ విధంగా మనము ఇంకా మోర్ ప్రొడక్టివ్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ద 80 పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ కోర్ టీమ్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో ఎన్ఎఫ్ఏ ఆర్సీస్ హెల్త్ అండ్ న్యూట్రిషన్ వాళ్ళు ఏ విధంగా ఈ 10 వారాలు becomes a very important exercise in capacity building of all of them. Yeah, Varprasad?
Sir, it's a very good idea that breakout rooms is a good idea so that we gain the time. Instead of everybody sitting for 2 hours together, if there are 4 or 5 groups, breakout rooms, and then each group discusses, then synthesis comes and then Dharmender can put all of them together. That's a very good idea. And then wastelands is a wonderful thing that he has given, that we have metrics for improving the wastelands. Any government in the project mode, whether we can run it, we will see, sir. That's particularly even if we take it as a research project, what are the metrics actually we need to, it should be different, sir. That we will discuss internally and take some input from Walter also to take it forward. And the second thing, metrics, I really look forward for his lecture on metrics, because even in our natural farming also, we are stuck with normal metrics like productivity and maybe nutrition, but not the palatability, taste, organoleptic properties, the environmental value. We are not giving value to them, which is much higher than the chemical farming and natural farming. When it is compared, we get much better metrics if we introduce some metrics into the system. So that's one thing which these 2 key learnings will take it forward, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right, Garu. What I mentioned.
Sir, ఈ లేయర్డ్ థింగ్ వాట్ మీరు అన్నదాని మీద ఈ ఎంటీస్ కు మనము సేమ్ వీక్ లో తీసుకెళ్తామా నెక్స్ట్ వీక్? ఎందుకంటే వితౌట్ వి విల్ డిస్కస్ విత్ ధర్మేంద్ర అండ్ సైన్స్ టీమ్ and whether that layered thing, whether it happens one in the same week or the next week, so that we also collect field level questions, clarifications from MTs, which some of them we may not be able to answer. So adi kuda manamu projected.
No, I have you have mentioned a very good point. I have had I am looking at it as a way of improving the absorption of these concepts by the NFS and RCs. But second point that you mentioned, collecting the problems from the MTs also makes this process a richer process. So the eppudu chestaru em kata adi meer discuss cheskondi, but I would like because ultimately the heart of our program is the CRP. So English valla we are not able to take it to them. So and I don't want his flow to be disturbed, because Euro translate chala avanta time waste avutundi. And also I would like everyone to go through Walter's content 2, 3, 4 times. Otherwise you will not be able to understand it. I have told you all, నిన్నే చెప్పాను అనుకుంటాను, నేనే ఆయన 2 వీడియోస్ ఒక 14 సార్లు చూశాను. వీరిది క్రిస్టిన్ జోన్స్ది రిపీటెడ్గా ఎప్పుడైతే వారి లెక్చర్స్ మీరు చూస్తారో అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఇంప్రూవ్ అవుతుంది. యా, లక్ష్మి గారు.
సార్, ఇప్పుడు now the whole module was given with 10 chapters and all of us need to know about these things. Suppose if health thing is there, is a preventive health and the disease induced aspects. So when that particular topic comes up, so it will be really helpful to develop certain tools which is related to health and nutrition and needs to be taken to the community. I think the team which is coming from the health need to really work on that and do that hands-on practice while we are learning here with Dr. Walter. So that ఇది మనం ఎప్పుడో ఒక 6 నెలల తర్వాత టూల్ చేస్తాం అనేది కాకుండా we can have this one simultaneously. Maybe I would see that is a deliverable from the health unit team to work on it. So now I will not be talking with the general language, but come with a more of the scientific rationale. So it is that for that purpose, I wanted to understand the interconnected factors from the other content also. So I think apart from training the core MTs by this core group, I think the team also, the unit also need to look at what is the deliverable that I can work on using this knowledge, what I gain from these sessions. I think that's what I'm really looking at these things, sir. Especially the 2 chapters, what we are aiming here in this. So that is one thing I'm looking at it, sir. And I'll work simultaneously with my team also to take it forward.
Okay, Okati, one is, this these modules will give a generic understanding of natural farming to everyone.
Yes.
So that is common learning for everyone.
Yes.
And then how you apply it in your particular role as a health person or as a communication person or IB, NF. So there are both aspects. So my suggestion, Dharmender, is when you're forming these groups, breakout groups, maybe 6, 5, 6 or 7, whatever, small number. Participants should be small so that everybody is participating.
Yes.
So దాంట్లో అందరినీ మిక్స్ చేసేయండి, రీసెర్చ్ వాళ్ళని, training, health and nutrition, state team members. So let there be a proper mix, so that different from different places you have these groups. And ఒకరికి ఒక senior person as the leader, but also one more person as a rapporteur. So ఆ విధంగా ఈ group discussions will really make it very rich, because each one is seeing from their own perspective. అందరు కలిసినప్పుడు some common ideas may come or new issues may come up.
Yes, yes.
And then Raidu garu cheppindi, I leave it to all of you. I leave it to the team. Please include Lakshmi Durga also in your team. So Raidu garu, Meeru, Zakir, Varaprasad, Lakshmi Durga, Trimurthul garu, Maheshwari, please sit down and then discuss how to take this forward. Whatever this group decides, then you can communicate to Ben Fox and to Walter.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll leave now. You continue with your housekeeping work, huh?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So we'll spend some time to understand how we'll improve our communication, because there will be so many announcements that will happen time to time. And what we have done for that is we have created one Google Drive, and that link, I think, we'll share that at multiple places. For now, I will share my screen. See, for example, yeah, this is Walter's group. See, this is group description. Okay. So in this link, in this description, you'll have a folder where every module is stored. I'll walk you through that. And so for all our masterclass meetings, we can use this Google, this Zoom link. Okay. So you can quickly access these from the description. So this is the Google Drive folder. So I think you can see my screen, everyone. Okay, yeah. So this is Walter Jehne Masterclass folder that is shared with everyone. Okay. So for example, the folders will, module 0 folder will have the contents like, so this is the video recording of the session that we had on last Friday. Okay. And this is the package that we received from Walter's team, the study material with all the video links that are inside that.
ధర్మేంద్ర ఇప్పుడు మెయిల్ పంపారా? ఇప్పుడు పంపారా మెయిల్?
ఇది వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్ డిస్క్రిప్షన్ లో ఉంది సార్, వాల్టర్ అనే దాంట్లో. సో యా
ఓకే. ఎప్పుడు పంపారు?
అది మెసేజ్ కదా సార్, డిస్క్రిప్షన్ లో యాడ్ చేశాను. ఐ రిక్వెస్టెడ్ ఎవ్రీవన్ టు కీప్ లుకింగ్ డిస్క్రిప్షన్. ఎనీ అప్డేట్స్ విల్ బి దేర్ అన్నమాట. ఇంపార్టెంట్. We'll keep improving that, sir, and also parallelly we'll have communication in Google groups also that will come from APCNF training email ID. So yeah, this is the
Google groups lo kuda pettandi. Google groups lo kuda pedte
yeah, rendu pedtanu.
Yeah.
So in this folder itself, today's Q&A session will also find its way. Okay, and another folder will be added. And also you can see one module 0 quiz. Okay, so for the first module we prepared one quiz also based contents that we went through on Friday. So it is to encourage each and every person to go through the content once again so that they will be able to answer better. Because module 0 is a very introductory nature and of very simple work, we have put this as quiz. But in the coming sessions, these will be assignments. So we'll be giving some assignments based on the content that we receive. And the assignment, what you are supposed to do, that Google form link will be in that respective module. Okay, so that is one thing. We'll go back, and there is in the main folder itself, there is one masterclass questions for Walter Google form. So if you did not find enough time during the live session to ask questions, this will be there throughout. Okay, so you can open this, post 1 or 2 questions and submit. We'll collect those questions from you in the back end. We'll compile, curate, and we'll see that Walter learns about these questions and will address them eventually. Okay, so this is the drive that you all will be having access to. Okay, that is one thing. And also there is one Google groups. I don't know if everyone is accessing that, because we'll be able to see how many have viewed that. Each conversation that we post, we'll be able to see how many are viewing that. So please check in if you are not receiving or did not notice that mail coming from APCNF training, please check for forums tab in Gmail or your spam folder, and you can go through the past conversations as well. Okay, so okay, quiz and yeah, and one more thing is that the link for joining the sessions is a general link. Okay, but we will be sending direct panelist link directly to your email. Actually, Zoom has the facility to So once we get all your emails overall in the core group, and we have Zoom to send a direct link into your inbox so that you will directly join as a panelist. So please check your mailbox for that one day before itself. We'll be sending that so that we will not be able to do manual work of clicking on each name and promoting as a panelist and all of that. Okay. So this general link will be for extended group. Whoever is not enrolled in the core group but still want to learn from it, this link will be for them. But panelist link will be sending directly through Zoom into your account. Okay, so please use that. And we don't know what link Zoom has sent, so we cannot compile all the links individually and put it at one place. So it is your responsibility to check mail from your Zoom account. Or if many people are doing that, that will be reducing the work of converting it to your panelist. Okay. For seniors, we will be doing that without any problem, but I'll encourage all juniors to visit panelist. I think, like what we are having now as a session after Walter has left, next week we'll be having group work. So by that time, module 1, you would have gotten enough time to go through the study material and also heard from Walter in the live session. And then we'll go for group work. Like this are told, 6-7 groups will be made, and each group will be given a topic to for synthesis, and we'll collect all the group presentations. If it is, I don't know how much time will it take if each group starts presenting. We'll have a way to collect without wasting much time, and we will compile and make it available to all. So and now I think, yes, let me finish one more point, please. And this in this module 0, you please answer this quiz, okay? By evening 6, I think, please. I don't know for how long I was lost.
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Okay, I was telling that this quiz Google form is available. Are you able to see my screen, please? No?
No, sir. No. Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Yes, thank you. So there is module 0 quiz. I request all of you to complete this by evening. At 6 o'clock, we'll be closing all the responses. So I will not be able to submit that. So, and from evening, I think by evening, Walter's team would be sending module 1 package. So as soon as we get, we'll share it in the groups so that you will have some time to go through it before you join us tomorrow morning. Okay. So that arrangement will be there. So this is what I wanted to share it with you. If you have any suggestions for improving and also new activities also, you can please do so. We'll try to make the most possible. Yeah, thank you.
Dharmendra, can I?
Yes.
Can I speak now, Dharmendra?
Yes, చెప్పండి.
అది ఇప్పుడు మనము ఈ డాక్యుమెంటేషన్ పార్ట్
we'll have this documentation separately.
అదే అనుకుంటున్నా. ఎప్పుడు పెట్టుకుందాం టైం చెప్తారా?
Yes. Once it is over, 15-20 minutes break తర్వాత we'll have. Or an hour, within an hour.
Yeah, I know, and Vishy will be there?
Yes. 7-8 people will be there. Yes.
Dharmendra, the module 1, the material ఎప్పుడు అవైలబుల్ ఉంటుంది?
వాళ్ళు మనకి ఇంకొక 3-4 hours తర్వాత పంపిస్తారు.
Okay, right. Okay, that's fine.
పంపించగానే నేను అందరూ పంపించేస్తాను. Will not hold it because the documentation team has to go through.
Okay.
Many would want to go through what is the content before joining the next class. So
next class and next Monday kada?
లేదు, tomorrow. That is what we are calling as pre-work. Walter will join every Monday.
Okay.
But Walter ichindi we will go through under the presentation of some senior science team.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Yeah, I think assignments module 1 assignment రేపు ఈవినింగ్ కి క్లాస్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత ఈవినింగ్ కి రెడీగా ఉంచుతాము, సో దట్ థర్స్డే ఆర్ ఫ్రైడే వరకు యూ విల్ హ్యావ్ టైమ్ టు study and do your assignment, all the group participants. Okay, anything that we need to discuss? We'll also put out attendance reports, all of that. So I don't know, I don't see all the enrolled participants out there. Few are still missing. And one personal request is that once the session is getting started, I will not be able to look into my message to answer whether you want a link to join the group or not. So I'm very sorry if I cannot attend to your request.
Otherwise, very structured. Thank you, Dharmendra.
Yeah, please contact Diksha or Sivakoti who are supporting me in this. Yeah. I will not be able to read any message. So, okay. That's all I think. Right, sir? Varprasad, sir? Is that?
Yeah,
fine?
I think fine. Now, whenever you indicate, we'll break for 1 hour, organize our weekly work, then join for next assignment work. Yeah, Varaprasad. Yeah.
Sir, Dharmendra, groups, breakout sessions, I was talking that maybe if we have 85, around 15 people, one group. And as EVC sir suggested, one group leader and one rapporteur.
Yes, sir.
Who will actually note down the happenings and who will supply you the short proceedings of what happened in that group. And correct. One more, the rapporteur will be responsible to make a gist of it and supply it to you so that you can comprehend all groups information at one place.
Yes.
Then I was suggested that we should check out after the Walter's class and start a new meeting so that group breakout sessions are possible. In the webinar, breakout sessions are not possible, I was told. That you can discuss with our RYSS team and make arrangements for that. Then also I have a suggestion that this breakout session need not be longer than 45 minutes. 30 minutes is ideal because 10 people get 45 minutes is good enough to completely discuss. Each one will get opportunity to talk. Yes. And you can give some guidelines for the leader to encourage the participation of all the people so that you get a comprehensive this thing. And one last suggestion I give you is, this assignments is a very tough job. Dharmendra, I don't know how you are going to deal with that. But my suggestion is there is something called Google poll, and that you only thing is your team has to work hard to come out with the critical 10 questions, or which should be not more than 5 to 10 minutes. You should be able to answer it. Each question you will put it on the poll, and people will answer it. Who answered what, you will have all the record in the Google poll. So you will understand how much percentage did not understand a particular question. So the discussion can go more on that particular one. So instead of giving assignment or questions, answers, corrections, this will be very, very tough task in my opinion. If you can do that, it's a good idea. But Google poll will give you an idea how much people have absorbed the information, and then which question most of them did not absorb. Also, you will get it. So it should be only yes or no, true or false, or maybe checking multiple options. And it should not take more than 5 minutes normally, but 10 minutes is okay. 10 minutes, each question you will put, all the participants will answer that. You will get a gist of it from the Google poll. I am done, Dharmendra. These are the few suggestions.
Yes. Sir, yes, sir. Matlad.
I am done, Dharmendra. These are the only few sessions that I
Okay.
Thank you.
What we will do is, it's kind of individual assessment also we are trying to see. If by objective questions, if we are able to track which individual is answering correctly or not, I'll check with the ICT team. Then we'll have both.
Yeah,
because
fact,
I
Google
need to
poll,
assess individually also, not as a group, whether this group entirely has understood this.
Discuss with the ICT team. Individual answers also you will get it in the Google poll. It's not as a group. Who has answered, who has not answered also you will get it.
Those are quick surveys that we can do that.
Yes, yes, yes.
ఒక్క క్వశ్చన్ అండి ధర్మేంద్ర వరప్రసాద్ సార్, ఇక్కడ మనం ఈ క్వశ్చన్స్ అడిగినప్పుడు ఈ ఎస్ఆర్ నో క్వశ్చన్స్ అడుగుతామా, డిస్క్రిప్టివ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అడుగుతామా అనేది ఒకటి ప్లాన్ చేసుకుంటే బాగుంటుంది. రెండోది ఎస్ఆర్ నో క్వశ్చన్స్ మనం సబ్జెక్ట్ అర్థమైనా అవ్వకపోయినా బై హుక్ ఆర్ క్రూక్ దెర్ ఈస్ అ టెండెన్సీ టు సే ఎస్ ఆర్ నో. అది కాకుండా మేబీ ఇఫ్ యూ కెన్ ఆస్క్ ఎ డిస్క్రిప్టివ్ క్వశ్చన్ ఒక 3-4 lines లో ఆన్సర్ చేయమని చెప్పి, అట్లా చేస్తే మనకి టార్గెటెడ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ వస్తుందేమో.
Pawan, I think, Pawan, I think we should have both. Ante nature of content, based on the content of the question, yes, no, and 2-3 lines. 2-3 lines.
Right. అది చేసినప్పుడు మనకి కన్సాలిడేట్ చేయడానికి ఈజీ అవుతుంది రెస్పాన్స్. ఇంకోటి, మనం ఎవరైనా ఆన్సర్ చేయలేకపోతే we shouldn't find it as a fault. అది కాంప్రిహెన్షన్ కొంచెం కష్టమే అవుతుంది ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్ కాబట్టి. అప్పుడు మనం when we respond to that person, మనం కొంచెం మళ్ళీ 2-3 lines లో ఆన్సర్ చేయడం, లేదా ఉన్నట్లో బెస్ట్ ఆన్సర్ తీసుకొని వాళ్ళకి షేర్ చేయడం, అట్లా మీడియేషన్ ఏమైనా చేద్దామా, బికాజ్ ఇట్స్ ఎ లెర్నింగ్ ప్రాసెస్. అది ఏదైనా సాధ్యం అవుతుందా అనేది కూడా కొంచెం ఆలోచిస్తే బాగుంటుంది సార్.
Yeah, 1 session 2 sessions అయిన తర్వాత మనకి ఎట్లా ఉంటుందో తెలుస్తుందండి. So one thing what I was thinking is that every week we'll be having Q&A session, and it is supposed to be on that topic that Walter has now delivered. So దానికి రెస్ట్రిక్ట్ అయితే we'll have deeper understanding. Otherwise productivity session లో soil structure గురించి, ఈ దీంట్లో రెసిలియన్స్ గురించి ఇట్లా కాకుండా విల్ స్టిక్ టు దట్ పర్టికులర్ మాడ్యూల్ యాజ్ మచ్ యాజ్ పాసిబుల్. ఇంకా ప్రెసింగ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏమన్నా వస్తే కనుక విల్ ఎనీవేస్ కలెక్ట్, బట్ విల్ యూజ్ దట్ Q&A ఫర్ a deeper understanding on that particular module. That is my personal opinion.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think,
basically, our trainees ko participants ko arthamainda leda anedi, we will be looking from two lenses. One is whether there was effort to understand, whether he was careful in listening with active listening, attentive listening. In spite of that, there is a problem. We will try to handhold. Hand-holding anyhow will be done, but we will try to assess whether he was not attentive or with attention he couldn't understand. So hand-holding is to be done. In either way, we will try to hand-hold and make them understand, but up to a point. Like taking horse to the water. Yeah, both will be kept in view. Thank you.
Right, sir.
Sir, one more thing I want to say is that a group ki prati chinna group ki facilitators kavali. So I want volunteers. They need not be technical at all. So they are good facilitators who would be facilitating the group, compiling their responses and presenting that in a very good way. So please come forward, whoever wants to facilitate these small groups. And what I am showing is the QR code to join WhatsApp, Walter's WhatsApp group. So many of you haven't joined. Please join now. So facilitators, 60, 20, 30 people still need to join this WhatsApp group. Please join. I think it is visible, no? Okay.
Dharmendra, it will be better if you make groups and convey, then out of that group, somebody will volunteer.
If I start with the small facilitators group, no, I think.
Okay.
I'm thinking the other way. So we'll see how it goes.
Either way is good. Okay.
Yes. So please join. Scan the code and.
Yeah, joined. Dharmendra, just I joined.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I think we can close it now. It's 12 o'clock. Yeah. Thank you so much. So,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.